Hey everybody, how you doing today? This is Jim Prusak from the Pain PT, and today we're going to talk about how your mind can sabotage your recovery or your healing process. And I think this is something that's so important, and people don't really see it, they don't catch it, that our thoughts and our beliefs is what drives a lot of our pain condition. Every thought we have, every single one of them is an electrical impulse that goes from our brain and connects with the rest of our bodies. So I've seen it over and over again in my patients and people I work with. I've seen where a single thought a person has can trigger off their physical symptoms. And I'll give you an example of this. I had a patient who had a very weird vertigo problem, dizziness issue that the doctors couldn't diagnose and figure out. She'd gone through a lot of testing, and I was treating her for that condition, and just assessing her and looking at what she can do and the movements of her head and her body, and seeing what was triggering her symptoms. And when I was doing my notes at the end, she was sitting down and I was just writing, and all of a sudden she said, "Oh, I just had a wave of dizziness come through my head. I feel really dizzy." And I said, "Look, stop." I go, "You're not moving your head. You're not doing anything physical right now. What were you just thinking about?" And so she relayed to me that she was just thinking about how she had to sell her house in another state because she was getting divorced. And that one distressing thought turned on her vertigo symptoms in the body. And I've seen it again. Just the other day, I was working with a gentleman, and we were talking about this, and he had a thought about his problem or thought about his condition, and that triggered the symptoms again. They had just calmed down. He was feeling a little bit better, and then he had a connection with his body in this way. He had a thought around his shoulder pain, and that thought alone triggered his condition. So we know this is the brain, right? When we can actually think about something and it triggers our physical symptoms, we know it's the brain. But we also know the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fake, or what's not a danger or a threat. So a thought can be threatening to our nervous system. A thought, if we put ourselves in a situation that we consider dangerous in our minds, if we put ourselves there in our minds, that can be enough to trigger our physical symptoms. So this proves to us that there's a brain and nervous system component to the disorder, and it's more common than you think. And a lot of times, because people aren't aware of their own thoughts, these are subconscious thoughts, they're not aware that these thoughts are creeping into their brain, and then they're actually rippling down into their body and turning on certain biochemical processes that can cause pain. So one of the most important things, I think, for people to recover is to really become aware. I talk about self-awareness in another one of my videos here at the Pain PT, using self-awareness or mindfulness or consciousness to be able to detect our thought processes, the ones that are not helpful, the ones that are sabotaging our recovery. And it starts with our thoughts, it starts with our beliefs. And so when we're catching these negative thoughts or these catastrophizing thoughts, thinking for the worst, we've got to let those go. We need to identify them and call them out for what they are. They're not true dangers, they're not true things, they're just our mind. It's just our subconscious mind spewing out a bunch of electrical signals, which has a real effect on our bodies, keeps that fight or flight nervous system alive. So please become aware of your thoughts. What are you thinking about your problem? If you can put yourself in a situation where you've had issues before, or even just think about it, and that creates some more tension in your body, or it makes you feel fearful, or produces your symptoms, you have an indication that there's a brain and nervous system component to whatever you're going through. And it's really quite common. I think it's underestimated how powerful the mind is in both directions. The mind can heal us, which it does in this work, and it also can hurt us. And so we call this either the placebo, which is really a brain effect, it's real, it's not fake, or they call it the nocebo, which means it's a negative effect. And we have nocebo effects all the time from doctors and healthcare practitioners telling us there's something wrong with us, telling us our bodies are damaged, that there's a physical cost or a problem. And those messages seep into our brains, and we take them as being the authority or they're real. And so when we connect with those thoughts from these healthcare practitioners and providers, it's going to create more doubt in our minds. It's going to create fear. It's probably going to reinforce the very symptoms we're trying to get rid of. And so that's why I talked in one of my other videos about getting an accurate assessment from somebody who works both in the physical realm and in this mind-body realm, so you can have a true picture of what you're dealing with. Because if you go to just a traditional doctor, a lot of times they're not going to assess the mental and mind and brain and nervous system component to a problem. They're only going to be looking at the physical component. So I hope this was helpful. I want you to come back to your thoughts first and foremost. What are your thoughts? What are you thinking about? And catch these negative thoughts. Catch your self-sabotaging thoughts that make your condition worse and can actually keep your condition alive. Have a great day, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.